Hello. So I want to talk with you guys about getting your first bookings, whether you're a new consultant or whether you have an empty calendar. This is going to be great for you. So basically, in order to do our business, we have to have parties. That is really the heart and soul of what we do as consultants. So it's important to reach out to people to get your first couple of bookings on your calendar. Hopefully, from there, you'll get bookings from your parties. So you won't have to do this every time you want some parties. However, we do need a place to get started. And I know that it's important for a lot of you, and it's important for me to do this without being pushy or being one of those people, that we see on Facebook just kind of spamming people and that sort of thing. So I want to go over some ways that you can do this really successfully with some great results without making people feel uncomfortable. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is book a launch party. So hopefully we have already talked about this if you've joined our team, but you should be scheduling an in-home party and a virtual party. If you are only a virtual consultant, you will only book a virtual party. If you are an in-home consultant, I highly recommend also doing a virtual one, even if you're only going to do it this one time, and I will help you run that. So don't worry about how you're going to find the time to create things. We'll go over that later. So your in-home party should be scheduled as soon as possible. You'll need about a week to plan, invite people, that sort of thing, at the very earliest, but you can do this up to 2 weeks. The sooner the better, so that we can hit that 1250 in sales so that you can earn your new consultant incentive. Your virtual party is going to run that same week. And I like to start parties on Monday and end them on Friday. I personally don't love working on the weekends, so this works great for me. So if your launch party is on a Wednesday, your in-home one, you can plan to start your virtual one the Monday before and close it on Friday. And what's great is you can use the exact same link so that people ordering from your virtual or from your in-home party will all go into the same party, and that works really, really well. So once you have those two booked, first of all, you've already got two shows booked, which is awesome. You're going to want to start creating a launch list. Now, this launch list is people who you would love to be a part of your business and people who you would love to see host. So you're going to want to write down 50 to 100 people. If you know them and they eat, they can go on your list. And do not forget about the guys, because men love to cook. In fact, about half of the households in America, the guy of the family, the guy in the family is cooking the majority of the time. So don't leave them out. If you feel like this is super daunting, you can totally reach out to one of us, your recruiter or myself, and we will help you with this. But just start writing down people and don't be afraid of how well you know them. If there are people that you know, people are not going to be offended by being invited to be a part of this with you. They can always say no. So once you get your list of like 50 to 100 people written down on a piece of paper or on a notebook or in your maybe your phone notes or something like that, you're going to want to set a label next to each person. The people who you label A are going to be the people you know definitely want to do a party, and you are pretty sure that they're going to be excited about this and that they're going to want to help you start your new business. People you label B are going to be the people who you think they might want to do a party, but you're not totally sure. You would have to ask them, and you wouldn't be surprised either way. Those are going to be the people you label B. And the C people are going to be the people who you would love to have as a host, but you're pretty sure they're going to say no. And all of these are totally fine, right? So we're not super worried about, who will or who won't. We're just making a list. So here's where I love this system. You are going to start with your C's and work your way up to the A's. And the reason I love this is because you're going to feel a little bit nervous about reaching out to people and asking about whether or not they'd like to book a party. And a lot of times people feel like they're tripping over their words or can't find the words to say, or they're a little bit nervous. So here's the thing. When you do this with your C people first, if you mess up or word vomit or anything like that, and they say no, you're going to assume that they probably would have said no anyways, but you're going to get that practice of asking and going through the steps that we'll explain here in a minute. If you would have started with your A people and they say no, and you word vomited all over them, you're going to be so nervous that you messed it up, and they would have said yes if you would have answered or asked the right questions or something like that. So this way you really get the practice of this process on people who probably weren't going to say no or weren't going to say yes anyways. But here's the best thing. Whenever they actually say yes, you are going to be so excited. So this process really works with our emotions and our worries in this business, and it's going to help you get through your entire list without being discouraged. Okay, so now let's talk about what you're actually going to say when you get on the phone with the people on your list. So I'm going to walk you through just kind of an idea of how the conversation might go. It's important that you kind of have an idea of what to say and a map of where you want the conversation to go, but you want to be yourself. So you want to use words that you would really use. You would want to use this in a way that sounds like yourself, because people can tell if you're not being authentic. So here's kind of a map of what to say. Hey, Susie, I just started as a consultant with the Pampered Chef, and I'm really excited. Have you ever heard of them? If they have heard of you, which they probably will, it would be a great idea for you to ask them for what their favorite product is. That way you get an understanding of the kinds of products that people are already enjoying, and you can use that information later. If they say they haven't heard of them, tell them that we are the most innovative kitchen products on the market today, and they've been a household name for decades. And I bet they probably have some Pampered Chef products that they don't even know were Pampered Chef. Either answer is great. Then you're going to kind of move on to this. I'm looking for some people to help me get started with my business. I'm hoping you would be one of those people, since, and there's a lot of reasons why someone might make a great host. All you have to do is invite some friends, grab some ingredients, and I will do the rest. Most hosts get around $100 in free products, plus a bunch of other discounts, and I promise to make it fun. Is this something you'd be willing to do for me? Now, some of these great qualities that might make them a good host include things like maybe they're super friendly. Maybe they are a great cook. Maybe you just love being around them. There's a lot of reasons why someone might be a good host, and make sure you think of something genuine before you hop on the phone with them. So if they say yes, you're going to go ahead and set a date with them. And I will help you with this process here in a little bit. If they say no, ask if it's a not now or not ever. You would be surprised how many people say no, not now, but are interested in doing one in September or October. If it's a no, not now, ask them when would be a good time for you to get in touch with them to set a date or follow up with them. So sometimes when people say no, they'll say something like, I would, I just don't have enough time. Or, that would be something I'm interested in, but my house is just too small. Or I don't really know that many people. If you sense this kind of reaction from them, just know that they're not saying no to having a party. They just have some concerns that is preventing them from giving you a yes. So here are some things that you can say that might help walk them in the right direction or help them finalize their answer. So if they say they don't have enough time, virtual parties would be something that would work really well for them, because they don't have to commit an evening to it, or they can kind of do it as it works for them. So you might say something like, a virtual party might be a really cool option for you. If you have like 10 minutes to spare a day, you can really have a successful party. Is that something that you might be interested in? If they say no after this, then move on. It's a no. If they say, yeah, actually, I'd like some more information, then you're going to work them into a date. If they are concerned about their house being too small, if it's under construction, or if it's really far away from everyone they know, there's a couple different directions you can go with this. One of the things that I love to say is, I don't really need a big kitchen or a big space to help you have a great party. If that's not a problem, would you be interested in doing this? You can recommend that they use their dining room table. We could take it outside into their back patio. Things like that can really be a solution for your hosts. Another thing that you can ask them is if they have a friend or a family member that would be willing to co-host with them. A lot of times people will have a mom or a daughter or a sister or a church that would be a place that would be a possibility for a location. And once you find the solution, then they likely will book a party. Um, Last but not least, of course, the virtual party would be a great option for them as well. It doesn't require any physical space at all, so they can do it all online. Another thing that I hear a lot is people say that they don't know enough people. So what I like to do is assure them that I'm not going to be disappointed with a smaller crowd. And since you're a new consultant, this would be especially true, right? Um, I love to say too, if no one shows up, then we can always go grab a margarita or something like that. So just let them take the pressure off of them needing it to be a big party. Also, let them know that you're going to help them with the inviting process, and they were going to be surprised at how many people will be wanting to come to this. If the problem is more along the lines of their friends are kind of all over the place, maybe they recently moved to a new state, or maybe all of their friends are from college and they're all over the place, a virtual party, again, would be a really great option. So all you need to do is kind of explain some solutions to the problem that they're bringing up. And after you've explained that, if it's still a no, then respect that it's a no. If they seem leaning towards doing a party, just say, hey, yeah, is that something you'd be interested if we could figure this out? And likely you'll help them feel more comfortable about saying yes. So if they say no, don't worry. They're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to hosting a party. Not everyone is going to want to host a party, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to be a part of your business. So here's a really graceful way and positive way to handle when they say no. So the first thing you're going to want to do is invite them to your launch parties that you already have booked, because they're going to want to be your customers. So they're going to say yes to this. Add them to your in-home party if they are local to you, and also their virtual party if they're local to you, because maybe something will come up. If they're not local to you, then you can add them to the virtual party only. And keep in mind, if they're not local to you, you'll go through this booking process with them also, but you'll specifically be requesting a virtual party. Also, you want to thank them for your time. They gave you their time, especially over the phone. And let them know that if they want to save you on your phone as like Pampered Chef Susie, then they'll have your information if anything would come up that they would need, if they would want recipes or anything like that. Also, ask them if there's anyone that they know that could use some help in the kitchen or that loves to cook and needs to know about our products. You would be surprised how many people can think of 3 or 4 people who would be perfect as a host or as a customer. And last but not least, if they are interested in coming to your launch parties, as soon as you get off the phone or come out of that conversation with them, you'll want to send them that invitation immediately. And just be graceful and be positive and just say thank you as much as possible. Okay, so when you get people who want to do a party, it's so important that you set a date with them right then and there. If that conversation ends without a date in your calendar, then you are going to lose about half of those people. You're going to be chasing them down. You're going to feel like you're bugging them and those kinds of things. So setting a date right then and there is going to solve this. Also, if you have not watched Control Your Calendar, the training video that I have probably sent to you or someone has sent to you, you need to stop, pause, and watch that before this process and before you start booking. And I recommend having about 3 months in advance kind of set up and controlled so that you can book a party within the next 3 months for them. So this is done the best by giving options and choices. So a lot of times you want to use questions like, would you prefer a weekend or a weeknight? Fridays are my favorite times to do parties, and they work well for everyone else too. Would that work for you? And or giving them dates. But the idea here is that you give them a choice between one or the other. Obviously, do not give them a choice that you do not want to do. Do not offer Sundays if you don't want to work on Sundays. Don't offer any weekends. But just keep asking these kinds of questions until you've narrowed down a date that's going to work for everyone. Obviously, you want to do this as quickly as possible. So try to do this with the least amount of questions. But once you do this a couple times, you'll get the hang of it for sure. If they resist to scheduling a date with you, some people would do this just because they don't want to, you know, they're like, I just don't know what date's going to work for me. Can I get back to you? That's going to be a question that comes up a lot. And I'm going to encourage you to push on this just a little bit. Let them know that there's not a problem in rescheduling. So we'll want to pencil something in so I have something reserved for you. And we can always move things around if this doesn't end up working. And the reason that you want to do this is because, again, if they walk away from the conversation without setting a date, it's going to be really hard to get one in your calendar. It's way easier to set a date now and move it if we need to. If it's just not a possibility for them to schedule something, you need to schedule a follow-up call. And ideally, this needs to be in the next 24 hours to reschedule the date. Or if they are wanting to book a party, say it's August right now, and they want to do a party in January, you need to set up a time to call them. And I usually do that a month before the month they want to book. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you really have this narrowed down, because you're going to save yourself a lot of time by having those dates filled in your calendar. And plus, then you'll know what to reserve for them so that you can make room for other hosts as well. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you feel kind of equipped to go out and to go get some bookings. If at any point you feel discouraged, if you feel confused, or if you get some responses that you're not sure how to handle, definitely reach out to one of us and we will definitely help you with that. A lot of people ask me too, can I do this over the phone, or should I do this through texting, or should I do this through Facebook Messenger? You have to do what works well for you. However, I highly recommend using the phone, whether it's text messaging or whether it's calling. Either of those options is going to give you way better results than if you use Facebook. If Facebook is the only way to get in touch with people, then of course that's better than nothing. But I highly recommend the more personal options that aren't spammy, because we don't want to kind of run into that characteristic. Then you're going to have more success when you take a more personal approach. So thank you guys so much. I hope this was really helpful for you. I really feel that you can get as many bookings on your calendar as you want. So don't get discouraged. If you hear a lot of no's, you'll hear more no's than yeses, but just keep going through this process and you'll have as many as you want.